Being able to handle your dog all over is going to be very important for a variety of skills. Not only is it really important for our veterinary care side of things, but it's also important for your relationship. If your dog's not comfortable with being handled, then we're going to run into a lot of other problems down the road. Say you have a smaller dog and you go to pick them up and they don't like that, then we're going to end up probably with some biting. Larger dogs are likely to do the same kind of thing if they're not happy being handled. So we want the dog who's actively seeking touch and learns that it's a great thing. So obviously Nellie likes to be handled. She's fairly relaxed, she's leaning into me, so this is all good stuff. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I would start with a dog who's a little bit sensitive. So when I start teaching a dog about handling, what I will do is have some good treats that they like, ready to go, just one at a time. You've got some smudge on your face. But what I'm going to start doing is start in a non-sensitive area for them. So I wouldn't reach in onto their face. Obviously Nellie's okay with that for me. But this is going to be a really sensitive area. So I'll start somewhere on the back and I will just do a long, slow stroke, give them a cookie while my hand is on them, and then take my hand away. Long, slow stroke, cookie, take my hand away. Long, slow stroke, hand away. What we don't want to do when we're starting our handling stuff is a lot of like scratching or roughing up or anything like that. That can actually cause the dog to be a little more tense, a little more anxious about things. So we want nice, long, slow strokes for the dog. That will help calm them down. So I start this with on the back, on the rump. Then what I might do is work my way kind of down a leg. Good, feed, way down a leg, good, feed. Depending on the dog, which area you go to next from your least sensitive area is kind of going to depend. For a dog like Nellie, she's probably a bit more sensitive about her feet and her ears than she is about anywhere else. So I would just slowly start working my way until I can lift up her paw, give her a cookie, good girl. Lift up paws, kind of play with toes, give her a cookie, good, put it down. Just getting her used to all this handling. Basically, anytime I touch her, she gets a reward for that. You'll keep your training sessions nice and short. You don't want to go more than, 10 to 20 treats, I would say. Probably no more than a minute or so at the very most. We want the dog understanding that it is on their terms when they're getting touched. The more we respect their wants and wishes with our touching, the easier it'll be for you in the long run. Especially with Nellie, the example I always use is that I used to not be able to really brush her. It was kind of a battle between the two of us. I needed to brush her so she didn't get mats, or I could get some extra hair out. You see how much hair is flying off of her already. But she didn't particularly like it. So when I kind of changed my tune and let her tell me where she wanted to be brushed by how she was positioning her body to me, now I can get her brushed in about a half hour completely and we get a lot of hair out, and it's no longer a battle. She just moves her position so that I know where to brush her at. As I progress with this, we'll go to something like looking in the ear gently, giving a treat for that, looking in the other ear very gently, and she kind of pulls her ears away from me, still good, giving her a treat for that. Good. Looking at her teeth, good. Getting the dog used to all of these handling things. Maybe your finger just gently goes in there. Good. Good. Just getting them used to all this stuff. Good girl. Good. So there's no specific way in which you go about handling, but you do pay attention to what your dog is telling you. So if you're handling your dog and they get really tense, their mouth closes, they're leaning away from you, they hunker down, their ears go back, they get kind of low, or they become very forward to you, you're going to stop and take a break. Their dog is telling you that what you're doing is a little bit too much for them and they're not really relaxed with that. Nellie is kind of an anxious little girl most of the time. She tends to be on the more anxious side of life. So I don't mind things that she does, like this lip licking. You'll notice she does quite a bit. That's fairly normal for her, so I'm not concerned about that. But you do notice how she's positioned herself. She doesn't like to necessarily face me head on all the time. She prefers if I touch her on her back and on her butt, so she positions herself that way. As I pet her, her mouth stays nice and relaxed. Her ears are naturally back, so I'm not worried about that either with her. Knowing your dog's natural body language is going to be a big help in your handling, because you'll be able to tell the differences between what's relaxed for your dog versus maybe what's not so relaxed for them. For her, this is very relaxed and typical Nellie. You notice how I stop petting her and she turns right into me and wants more attention from me. So that's what we want, the dog who seeks out this attention and lets us know as we stop that I would like more. And if she doesn't necessarily say I want more, then sometimes I just take a break and then she wants more. Good girl. Yeah. So getting your dog used to handling, keeping things nice and short, keeping it so they're getting really good rewards for all the touching you're doing, especially as you move into areas like the ears, where you can see she's a little more sensitive about. When you move into things like the teeth, getting them all used to that. For some dogs, the paws are a big deal, so being able to play with the toes, good girl. Letting them know that all this stuff is really great, and then as they let you touch them, they get a treat just about every time, until they get to a point where you're very comfortable with your handling, and then you can start backing off your treats. But the more we get our dogs used to handling, the less we're going to be bit, the more they're going to be cooperative when we have to administer medications, when we have to take them to the vet. In those emergency situations, if they're injured or you need to get them out of somewhere quickly, if they've been used to being handled in a very nice way, you are going to be more successful overall, and so will your dog, and your healing for your dog will be faster if they are injured. So that's how I kind of start with some basic body handling for my dogs. How you progress will really depend on the dog, and just paying attention to their natural body. So you notice things, right? So when I go in and start rubbing her chest a little bit, she was closing her mouth, which tells me either it feels really good and she's really focused, or she's a little bit concerned. So I just stop and she goes right back to her nice, relaxed panting. And there's hair everywhere. Good girl, Nelly. So if you have any questions about body handling, just let me know. And we progress it from here with a variety of other things, like adding medications or simulating vaccines, or all those things that our dog are going to have done throughout their life. So let me know if you have any questions. Girl. You're a good girl. Yeah. You're a good girl.